For those of you who don't know me, my name is Patti Clemens. I work for Collier County Emergency Management. I do the special needs program. I also review all the disaster plans for all the facilities. So every facility in this county has a disaster plan if your loved one is there to evacuate them. Whether they let you go with them is their decision, but they do have a plan. What we do is every year I mail a form out, and I recognize a few names here already. So if you didn't get a form or you want a form, take the form. Every year we tweak it a little bit. The front page is basically our information for how to register you. The second information is basically the entire form needs to be filled out. We're getting a lot of blank forms back and just information just needed. I need to give information to the school transportation because if you're not going to drive to the shelter, I need to tell the school transportation I need a bus, I need a lift, I need a wheelchair, I need to be able to get them on the bus. The next page is your medical information. The doctors, God forbid someone gets sick at the shelter, the nurses want to know who to contact. That's why your doctor's information is so important. And like we had in Wilma, after this storm was over, we had 11 people that could not go back home because their homes were damaged or destroyed. So we had to put them in a hotel. So we're trying to get hold of family members or friends for them because at the time people can't remember phone numbers. They're nervous, you're stressed out, you've already got enough on your mind. It's on here. So we'll have the numbers on file for you. But if you can't go home, we ask that people have a plan. Everybody's got to have a plan. It doesn't make a difference whether it's a hurricane, a wildfire, you got to have a plan to go somewhere. And you have to have 72 hours to sustain yourself if you're staying home. So that's the biggest thing. This page is for the health department. Basically, our office sends you the form, I get you registered, I get you in the computer, I call school board, they sit right in front of me, we're distance from where we are in their EOC, and I tell them, okay, this person needs to be picked up, this person needs to be picked up, this person's driving themselves. This person has a pet. I have to get a hold of the pet shelter and get a hold of the pet people to pick up your pet first. If you have no plan for your pet, Animal Services will shelter your pet at no charge at the Pet Friendly Shelter, which is at North Collier Regional Park. But they have a lot of pets to shelter, so if you have a plan for your pet or someone else can take it for you, please do. They ask that you have a crate and that your shots are up to date. What we had to do for Wilma and the storms, we had those 2004, 2005 back-to-back never-ending storms. They had to go pick up some of the pets for the people because they couldn't get them to the shelter. So they may have to pick up your pet the day before because they have a limited staff, but they will pick up the pet. They ask you to fill out a form and you can turn it in when your pet goes to the shelter. They will call you, and they check with me first to make sure you're back home. Once the storm is over, they call you, say, can I bring Mrs. Smith's pet back? Yes, Mrs. Smith is home. They will call you to make sure you're there and they will bring the pet back to you. And there is no charge because people are not leaving because of their pets. And that's a big problem, especially if you live west of 41 or in a manufactured home. If you're in a manufactured home, you've got to have a plan to go someplace because we're having a lot of problems with weather this year, all these crazy weather things, tornadoes, wildfires, and flooding. Flooding is the number one deadly killer, not hurricanes, it's flooding. So you need to hide from the wind and run from the water. That's the biggest problem is the water. Even if your house is in a flood zone, not in a flood zone, 10 feet above elevation, if you're surrounded by water, no one's going to be able to come get you for a while. You think you're going to call 911, well, if the winds are over 45 miles an hour, they're not coming. They can't. The trucks are off the road for safety, so until the winds die down, you're there by yourself. Do you need power? Who wants to be out in this weather if you don't have a generator? No power, it's hot. You've already got a stressful situation at home with your loved one, and it's hot, and there's no refrigeration, there's no air conditioning, your food is getting spoiled, and you're stuck there. So the idea is this is your backup plan. Some people consider it your backup plan. We can't force you to go, but if you want to go or you might need to go, fill this out ahead of time because there's a lot of preparation that goes on behind the doors to get you organized. So this is all the information for the health department. They need to know your medical history. And then we have a sheet where it says your medications. If you have a sheet from the pharmacy that's typed, bless you. Because trying to read some of these handwritings is, let me tell you, I have a medical dictionary, I have a nurse's handbook, I'm a paramedic, but some people, I can't read it. So you can attach it to here, and they do not bring any medications to the shelter. You have to bring all your medicines. So if you use a Sunday through Saturday little container, Bring that with you. Do whatever you do on your normal routine basis to help you on a normal routine, but bring the pill bottles with you in case you drop it. Because if the health department has to call the pharmacy, they need to know what the pink pill is and the blue pill is and the white pill. They don't know. That's a big problem they had over on the East Coast during Francis and Jean. People dropped those little containers and they didn't know what the pills were. So if you have a container, bring it. Do whatever your normal routine is, but bring the empty pill bottles with you just in case. And then we ask that someone sign the back. This page here. It can be a caregiver, it can be a loved one. All we ask is someone sign the paper and nobody fill it out, the form. That's all this is asking. This is a sheet, just tells you about the evacuation, who's eligible. Basically, it's anyone over the age of 60 who needs transportation. That's all they need is transportation. They fill out a form, we'll pick you up. But it's anyone with a sensory, medical, neurological, anything that you cannot ambulate on your own and get out of this house on your own. I have 37 children on my lead registry. Right now I have 862 people listed, all in Collier County, and they're all full-time residents. I do have a couple seasonal, maybe about 10, but not very many seasonal residents. But this gives you an idea on the back what to bring, and then your little checklist is something that I borrowed from another county. I like the little checklist, so I borrowed it. And basically, you have it, you need it. You can use it if you are going to stay home, what you may have to prepare for, or if you have to leave. It's a little checklist. I did one at home for myself. What do I have? What do I need? Because I have my daughter living with me, with children, pets. What do I have? I have a generator that I'll probably never use because I won't be there. But little things I never thought of, like rubber gloves. I thought of trash bags, but I didn't think about rubber gloves. And you will have a problem if it's this kind of humidity and this kind of weather with mosquitoes. So the big thing is make sure you have bug spray, because bug spray is going to be a big need. Any questions so far? Anybody registered besides us? Hey, I see that name every year. I was like, oh. Does anybody have a family member in a facility? Which one?
Arden Courts.
Okay. They do have a plan. Like I said, every single facility has a plan. I went to the tour at the new Terracina, and there's supposedly some, and then they're building Discovery Village behind us, between Rattlesnake and Laley Cultural. They're building one called Discovery Village. It's going to be a senior independent Alzheimer's and ALF. Across the street from us on Laley Cultural is going to be the Lutheran community. They're building that whole facility. The apartments that if you go to the library, South Collier Regional Library, the apartments on the end by the hospital, those are totally separate. It's just an apartment building. But the Lutheran community is going up across the street from us, and it's private homes, independent, Alzheimer, memory care, all that's going in. So there's multiple going in this county. They said there's 6. Now, this year on the list, I added a few other things. I added Pick's disease. I added PPA, which was my mother's disease. That's how I started coming here as an adult child of a parent years ago. My mother had primary progressive aphasia. She was diagnosed at 52. And my dad took care of her for 12 years. So I put a couple of things, I put that on here as a tribute to my mom. But I've already talked to a couple people that have that. So I talked to Dr. Gary, and he said just put other. That way if there's other dementias, Lewy body, you can list them on here. Because we're trying to keep track for the health department of what various types of dementia we have. Because now we have the House Bill 709, which was put in through Representative Hudson and backed by Senator Richter. And every special needs shelter in the state of Florida is required now to have a place within the special needs shelter for an Alzheimer's dementia patient. So we have to have a space in the shelter to shelter those type of residents.
That'll be secured away from the others?
That's the discussion. That's what we're looking at. Okay. 2 people from our office and Kathleen Marr, who runs the shelter, went out to look at the school because we use Palmetto Ridge High School. And they're going out there looking for a section for Alzheimer's residents. Because I said, okay, are we going to have a section where we have less doors? People wander. Are we going to have things secure because we use the classrooms? We usually clear out all the furniture. What about the things behind the counters? We don't use elementary schools because the toilets are so small. We use high schools, middle schools, elementary schools. We don't want people harming themselves. We have to put everything away. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to ask some things today on the other side. I'm going to flip it around and ask you guys some questions